On this episode of the Who's Pharaoh podcast, we talk Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr.'s legal issues reaching the desk of NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. And speaking of the commish, the NBA has new rules in regards to teams resting their players throughout the season. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 3 of the Who's Pharaoh podcast. I am yours truly. I am Pharaoh. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed one of the first couple episodes, I thank you so much. Just know I got more quality, great content on the way, so please stay tuned. And if you're enjoying the content, please make sure you are subscribed to the platform. It means the most to me. Seriously, man, if you're enjoying it, man, I need your subscription. I really appreciate you guys for all the love that y'all been showing me. We're going to kick this podcast off in Houston as Kevin Porter Jr. finds himself on the wrong side of the law. KPJ was arrested on Monday in New York City after he allegedly assaulted his girlfriend, Kaiser Gondrezick. She is a WNBA player. Right now, she's a free agent as the WNBA gets into their playoffs. According to a recent report, Porter was upset after Gondrezick locked the door to their room at the Millennium Hotel in Times Square. And after asking the help of the hotel security to access their room, the Rockets player allegedly struck and beat up Kaiser. Prosecutors at KPJ's arraignment on Tuesday said that Kaiser suffered a fractured neck vertebrae and a cut above her right eye. Prosecutors said that Porter Jr., who has now been charged with felony assault and strangulation, didn't stop until his girlfriend ran out of the hallway of the Millennium Hotel in Manhattan covered in blood. Prosecutors claim that Porter has a history of abusing Kaiser, including an incident in which he rammed his car into hers. According to a criminal complaint, Kaiser told police that Porter punched her repeatedly in the face with a closed fist, cutting her above the right eye and causing bruising and substantial pain to her face. Kaiser said that Porter forcibly squeezed her neck with his hands, causing her difficulty in breathing. She had redness and bruising to her neck. KPJ has been since released on a $75,000 bail. He has been ordered to stay away from Kaiser. So we'll take the next second and talk about KPJ and his future as a basketball player. I want to talk about this first because on a lot of different levels, this is very troubling. And honest to God truth, as I read that, you can kind of hear my voice tremble a tad bit because them some nasty details, man. Look, y'all know me. I'm not perfect. The man putting the hands on a woman is a big no-no for me. It's always been a big no-no for me. I don't like going too far into my childhood, but just know your boy has seen some things and been a part of some things that has stirred me so far left from ever putting my hands on a woman. I've never in my life seriously put my hands on a woman, meaning if I've ever done something, it's like been like playing around, wrestling, stuff like that, right, with my wife or anybody that I was dealing with at the time. I have never in my life ever made an attempt to harm a woman. That just ain't me. That just ain't my style, and I can't stand it. Obviously, these are allegations. You know, KPJ deserves his day in court to fight some of this stuff. It's still innocent until proven guilty, but this doesn't look good, and this is not KPJ's first offense, and it does not seem like KPJ and Kaiser are good for each other. You know, I always hate hearing those scenarios where, you know, there is history of assault because it's like, why y'all doing this again? You know, if you ain't really go through whatever you needed to go through to fix the relationship to make sure that never happens again, not saying one time is okay, but I'm saying when I see like, oh, we've been here before, like, what are we doing as professional athletes? Like, what are we doing? We're putting our livelihoods on the line. We're in the public domain. We're in New York because proximity does matter. And as many of you know, New York don't play games. You're right. Their laws are a lot stricter overall versus other regions in our country. So when I see this and I see that there's history between these two, I just shake my head like, what are we doing? You know, what are we doing? Yeah, KPJ's in the midst of a sweet deal. And, you know, look, I don't know where he lands on Ime Udoka's totem pole, but he was one of Steven Silas's favorites, right? And if I'm not mistaken, KPJ was the only guy present at Ime Udoka's press conference as a player. I think that was KPJ, if I'm not mistaken, like trying to earn a couple brownie points with the new coach. And then to go allegedly pull this stunt in which he puts his hands on a woman. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what are we doing? Like, this is just ridiculous. And I'll double down on what I said a couple days ago. If you paint your nails as a man, I will not trust anything you say. I know people are going to say, yo, that is crazy, Pharaoh. What the heck do you mean by that? But I stand by what I said. Men that paint their nails scare me, and I am never going to trust anything that comes out of their mouth. That's what I got for you, man. I genuinely feel bad for young Kaiser going through this, man. I was reading some details about the history of these two. Yo, they got like, in one of the reports I was reading, like apparently like she was asleep during an assault that she claims happened by KPJ. Like, I don't know if that means somebody went through somebody's phone. I'm just speculating right now. Like, but that is, I mean, you could easily kill somebody, harming them while they're asleep, meaning by the time their body even like reacts to what's going on, you could be strangling them like that. Come on, bro. There's nothing there. Whatever y'all got going on, bro, you could go, both y'all, go find somebody else. Because y'all, you know, right now, careers are at stake, lives are at stake. That y'all got to cut that. Y'all got to go y'all separate ways. Y'all ain't good for each other. Like, whatever is pissing KPJ off to the point to want to put his hands on her, that means Kaiser's probably not good for him. And Kaiser, if this man put his hands on you, I mean, sheesh Louise, what is it going to take for you to realize that this dude probably ain't good for you?
One of the reasons why the Rockets' three-point shooting has been so poor is they've had some tired legs. And so far, it's kind of worked. And there we go. That's another one for KPJ.
Now, here's where things get even a little more interesting. Shams over at The Athletic, who's been on fire, by the way, this week, is reporting that the Houston Rockets are working on a trade for KPJ in wake of his felony assault charges and strangulation charges with his girlfriend. Houston has reportedly contacted multiple teams, according to Shams, offering draft compensation as a sweetener for taking on KPJ's contract and sending back a player who can help the Rockets win in 2023 and 24. Just for clarity, I went through, and shout out to one of the supporters of my platform that, you know, brought up KPJ's contract, and I just want to reiterate this. Porter Jr. only has one guaranteed year left of salary. It's 15.9 this year, fully guaranteed. The other three remaining years on KPJ's contract can pretty much be voidable. I think there's a few $1 million of guaranteed money, but just to put in perspective, you know, not justifying anybody putting their hands on anybody, but the person that for damn sure shouldn't be doing it is the guy that's on a non-guaranteed deal. At least about 75% of that contract is not guaranteed, which is KPJ's scenario. I don't know who the Houston Rockets thinks going to pick up KPJ just because he's got a non-guaranteed deal with the allegations surrounding him. But I'm going to be honest with you. To me, it seems like Houston is tone deaf, even trying to trade this man the same week that he's got this going on. What the hell y'all think? Y'all think y'all just going to hand him off to somebody else and now put that on their top? Why would somebody trade for KPJ right now? Like, this ain't an all-star level guy. If we were going to be honest, Miles Bridges, who's not an all-star, but is a much better player in the league and much more respected around the league to me in basketball spaces for what he brings to the table versus what KPJ is. And KPJ can score, but, I mean, he doesn't really mean nothing to winning. Miles Bridges was actually helping the Hornets win games a year ago, right? Miles Bridges didn't play at all last year. His situation was a little different in Charlotte, but the point still remains. If anything, I could have seen Charlotte trading Miles, like signing and trading Miles versus KPJ, who we have no history of saying that he brings anything remotely to winning to the table, and he seems problematic. There was a reason why Cleveland gave up on KPJ. They knew how talented he was. It's everything up here with him. And if this dude can't understand the moment of not being on a guaranteed contract overall and knowing that them $82 million ain't coming his way because somebody's going to let him go, whether it be Houston or if Houston is able to pull off the trade of the century, this dude, the other team's probably just going to use him as a guy to get a draft pick out of. Like, that's stupid. And that's on KPJ not understanding the moment. And if we're being honest, I don't know how this ends well for him. I don't know how Houston thinks they're going to get up off that contract. I mean, and if he, by the way, if he's already been traded right now, whatever sweat equity KPJ built up with Ime Udoka and that Rocket staff, it wasn't enough to get through some more assault allegations. So we'll see what happens with him. I do not see this working out in KPJ's favor. This is ridiculous, y'all. This is truly sad. See anytime a young athlete with the type of potential KPJ got throwing this shit away because he don't know how to keep his hands to himself. Like, that's pathetic. You an NBA hooper, bro. You can pretty much get any woman you want. And anything you shoot at in your DMs with that check mark and them highlights you got on your page, you good. To lower yourself to even just getting involved in this, it's bad business. And it comes down to where Adam Silver, does he really want to flex his muscles? This has not been Adam's DNA just yet, but Adam did release a statement during the NBA governors meeting in which Adam really was talking about the new resting policy, but he was asked about KPJ's status, and Adam said the allegations here are horrific. There's no question about that. But I don't know anything more about the actual facts other than reading those allegations. We have a domestic violence policy that was collectively bargained with the Players Association. Again, when I say bargain, it was not a contentious issue. They certainly feel as strongly as we do about this. And just for anybody out there, the league's policies are pretty much the team can't punish a player, right? The league has to conduct the investigation. Questions will be asked to KPJ and anybody involved in an incident that will talk, and then the league and team will come together after they get more information, and the league will be the final say-so in his suspension. He will be suspended. And also, I think the part of this that really is awful for the NBA, y'all know the NBA over the years has kind of like tried to be big bro to the WNBA, and they've tried to throw lobs to the WNBA, which, come on, y'all, if we being honest, the WNBA is a product that's not prospering. I mean, I love WNBA basketball. I watch it, but, oftentimes I feel like I'm on Twitter by myself watching some of these games, tweeting about some of these games. Ain't nobody watching that, which I hate because I have love for some WNBA players, but nobody watches their product, or not a lot of people watch their product. And, the NBA has kind of stepped in and kind of been like big bro to the WNBA over the years. And the fact that this happened with an NBA player and a WNBA player, one that's fairly known, by the way, beautiful woman, by the way. This chick is beautiful, and I don't like saying that because like I saw some people on Twitter tweeting like, you did this to her, because that implies like if the chick wasn't as beautiful, it would be okay to assault her. So I don't want to make it seem like that, but she's a beautiful woman, and I think this looks really bad on the NBA if they don't come down the harshest. But again, Adam Silver's DNA has always been he's not the commissioner that comes down the harshest. He's a player's commissioner. We shall see what happens to KPJ in the future.
And they're going to eat for free. Leonard for three. Oh, that's what he does.
The NBA's got a new resting policy, ladies and gentlemen, and your boy thinks it's absolutely ridiculous. I'll read the details to you guys, and then we'll get into what I think about it. On September 13th, the NBA Board of Governors approved new rules that will make it harder for teams to utilize load management, everybody's favorite word in the NBA, right? New resting policies rules will make it less than likely for star players to sit out during nationally televised games and in-season tournament games. Teams with multiple stars will also not be freely allowed to rest said players together in regular season matchups. That's really what I want to focus on. The fact that it feels like Adam Silver understands that guys are going to get rest, but he does not want guys resting at the same time on the same team. If the resting policy is violated, teams can be fined by the league office. A quote-unquote star player, which is what we're going to talk about today, is being defined as a player who has been selected as an all-star or all-NBA team member in any of the last 3 seasons. 26 teams and 49 players will be impacted by this new rule. We're going to read all the players in a second. That is meant to stiffen and stifle load management across the league. Load management is a term where teams obviously rest players, but not because of injury, but as a way to keep them fresh for future games. Here is the list of the 49 guys that are technically under these new rules, in which these dudes cannot be rested in the same games. Y'all let me know what y'all think. The Hawks got 2 guys in DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. The Nets only got 1 guy in Ben Simmons. That works out perfectly for them. The Boston Celtics got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. The Hornets got LaMelo. Chicago's got DeMar, Zach, and Vucevic. Cleveland's got Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. Dallas got Luka and Kyrie. Denver's got Jokic. That's kind of a cheat code because Jamal Murray's like really an all-star. The Warriors got 4 guys. They got Steph, Dre, Wiggins, and then Chris. That's like a cheat code because Clay, you can say, is like a star caliber guy. Houston's got Fred VanVleet. Indiana's got Tyrese Halliburton. The Clippers got Paul George and Kawhi. They're like the highlight of this. When I think of load management, I think about them first. The Lakers got AD and Bron. The Grizzlies got Jaren and Ja. Miami's got Bam and Jimmy. Milwaukee's got a threesome of Giannis, Drew, and Chris. That sounded crazy. Minnesota's got 4. I thought this was hilarious because they got Mike Conley. Mike actually fits the bill here, alongside AE, Rudy Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns. The Pelicans got Zion. The Knicks got Julius Randle. The Thunder got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Sixers got their 2 best players as of right now, Embiid and Harden. Suns got 3 now because they got Bradley Beal and also Book and KD. Portland's got Dame. Sacks got De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Toronto's got Pascal Siakam. And then the Utah Jazz have Lauri Markkanen. So all of these guys technically fall under the build of they can't be missing games together. We don't have to get into the specifics of it, but just know the NBA is going to try to crack down on these guys that I just read. As of next season, if you pay your money to go to an NBA game, you should at least see, for the teams that got multiple guys, you should at least see one of these guys out there, if not all, right? You know, I get it, man. The NBA is a very difficult long-term sport. We obviously know in the moment, sports like NFL and hockey just seem to be way more physically challenging, just naturally. You know, sports like the NBA and MLB are much more of a long-term burden on your body. Like there, you could see former players like, you know, they limp when they walk. And I don't know how this generation of stars are going to age because these guys take better care of their bodies and they don't play as much as guys of the past do, like, you know, season in, season out. But these dudes low manage. So I'm curious to see, like, how are guys like Tim Duncan and David Robinson going to continue to age, right? Are they going to be limping in 10 years? These are dudes that, you know, both benefited from load management on the pop. Is Tony Parker going to be limping in a few years? I don't know. That's a good question, right? I just want to see how guys age. Is Kevin Durant and Bron going to be limping in 15 years when they're done playing? We think LeBron will be done in 15 years. I'm curious to see those kind of things because I can tell you right now, what happened to me last season shouldn't happen to anybody. To celebrate my 29th birthday, me and my wife went to Los Angeles, and we did a double. So we went to see the Milwaukee Bucks back-to-back nights. So this is around the time that LeBron had broke the record. So I went to see Giannis versus Bron and AD, and then the next night was Giannis versus Kawhi and Paul George. So the first night, LeBron, who had broke the record the previous game against the Thunder, which I really wasn't mad at because I thought I was going to get the record-breaking game, but I didn't because I bought those tickets I had those tickets a while back. They were actually given to me. So I wasn't mad that Bron didn't play. He did do a pregame speech, but the reality is I went to L.A. to see Giannis versus Bron, which I don't know how many more years we're going to get that classic matchup of 2 all-time greats, and Bron ain't play. So it's like, all right, damn, I'll give Bron a pass. He did have the whole family there. The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the house. I had great seats. I didn't feel like I got cheated too much. The next night, though, was ridiculous, right? So me and my wife, we go to the Crypto.com arena again, back-to-back nights. Obviously, now everything's set up for the Clippers. And I'm moving around the building. You know, we're actually dining in the Clippers' beautiful season ticket area. So me and my wife actually bump in to the Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, obviously the richest owner in the NBA. And it's not even close. By the way, you can pretty much combine most of the owners' net worths with Steve Ballmer's net worth. Like Steve Ballmer's like one of the richest people ever. me and my wife, we bump into this guy because we're floating around in the season ticket area, right, where they're doing dinner and all that. And, like, she didn't know who the hell he was. And it took me a second to realize who the hell he was. And by the time I realized it, I was like, oh, it's too late. Wait, that was Steve Ballmer. Wait, that's one of the richest people in the, like, it's like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, them, and then right under that, the richest ever list, right under is like Steve Ballmer. Like, this dude is rich as hell. You can pretty much combine the other owners' net worths with, and it don't even equal to his, right? This dude is unreal rich, by the way. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I see him coming out of the elevator, and he's pissed. Like, he didn't speak to nobody. You would expect the owner to just, kind of be thankful to everybody, for being in the building. And by the way, not only is he an owner, he's about to own a new arena. So in a couple years, you will literally be in his house, He was pissed. And I was wondering, why the hell was he so pissed? And it goes to, you find out a few minutes later, as me and my wife take our seats. I had great seats for this game as well. And I'm sitting next to an NBA referee, and we're just talking, a longtime NBA referee. And like a few seconds before tip, we're looking around, and we're like, wait, do you see Kawhi? And I'm like, nah, I don't see Kawhi. And, out of nowhere, Kawhi is not on the court. Like, he's a DNP, he's a scratch. But it would have had to have been a late scratch, though. Keep in mind, this is February. Kawhi and them already had missed a lot of time in the season. Paul George did play, but there was no Kawhi. And the point I'm trying to make is that's nasty. Like, fans, and I believe Steve Ballmer had just found out minutes before the game that Kawhi wasn't playing. Allegedly, he was a last-minute scratch, and there was never any reason why he missed that game. And I just thought that was ridiculous. For me to go to L.A., obviously, the flights are the flights. Everybody's not getting, tickets handed to them like I got. These are Clippers and Lakers tickets. Those Lakers tickets are always going to be expensive. Not to mention it's LeBron, it's AD, it's Giannis, which Giannis had a big fan base come support him in L.A. during his only trip to Los Angeles in the season, if I'm not mistaken. Them tickets don't get discounted when Kawhi decides not to play. When LeBron decides not to play, you don't get like $75 back on the tickets or $100. That has to change. So I commend Adam Silver for trying to do something. It appears that Adam has got his mind, on trying to make sure this tournament doesn't end up being a huge L. If you can see, like that's what I think he's worried about. Adam believes in this in-season tournament that's going to happen to kick the year off and go through December. I think he's scared that a lot of teams are not going to take it serious. That's what I think he thinks. And we'll see what ends up happening. I don't like it from the standpoint of what I said on my previous episode. I think actually episode 1, when I was like, the only thing I got with this is, every team has all-stars to them. I brought up Memphis as an example because I'm from there. I know that Ja and Jaren fit the build of this 49 guys, right? But to me, like Desmond Bane is an all-star to that fan base. And if you pay for a Grizzlies ticket, you want to see Desmond Bane. Maybe you want to see Ja more, but you definitely want to see Desmond Bane. So now it's almost like, okay, there are ways to get around this. Because think about it from this standpoint. Adding to this list is going to be hard because you now got to play 65 games to even be award eligible. So now you're pretty much incentivizing some of these teams with young stars to not play their guys 65 games because if they never play 65 games, then they're not on all pro teams. They're not on all NBA teams. They're not on all-star teams, right? They're not playing enough. So you're kind of incentivizing teams to make sure their guys never win accolades or awards. Obviously, there are, financial incentives for these guys to win awards. But as a team, if you're Greg Popovich right now, you're not going to let Victor Wembanyama become an all-star year one because Pop is going to want to load manage him. I don't know. We'll see if this works. I have my doubts. The biggest is because what's going to stop a team from saying, yo, bro, I'm not load managing my guy. I'm not sitting him out for rest. His knee actually hurts. His knee is sore. He went through a pregame shoot around and he doesn't feel right. His ankle is sprained. Like, how can you stop that from happening? I just think that's such a difficult thing because at the end of the day, you can't tell a man how to feel about his body. And I always have told you guys, to me, the real way to stop load management is to take some of the money away from the players. That, to me, that's your only way you got it this, because the way that they're trying to do, you need these guys to feel like their jobs are at stake. Right now with these long-term guaranteed 30, 40+ million dollar deals a year, guys don't really feel like they got to be the best partners with the NBA because they get in their bag regardless. I hate to say it like this because you want everybody to make their money. That doesn't affect you. But it feels like the only way to ever see real change is not trying to come up with a new resting policy, is to get better partners in the NBA and make your partners realize there's more at stake and that growing the product is a part of the job. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Hoops Pharaoh podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed being a vessel, the game of basketball, giving it to you guys. If you have not done so, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said, it truly means the world to me. We're going to be doing highlights night in, night out in the NBA in this similar fashion. I'm going to kind of run it like SportsCenter. So I'm super excited about that, and I cannot wait to have you a part of the 23-24 season. I'm looking forward to it. No matter all this resting stuff, KPJ putting his hands on women allegedly, I am still thoroughly looking forward to the NBA season. Hopefully you are as well. I'm out.